Welcome to a day in my life as a graduate working in the insurance industry. Oh yeah, and I'm still working from home. I woke up to the not so beautiful sound of my alarm clock, switched my bedside light on, and reluctantly got out of bed. I immediately put on some fluffy slippers because the house is always freezing this time of year. At this point, I am definitely still half asleep, thinking in my head, I just want to go back to bed. But the working life calls, gotta suck it up. I pulled on my dressing gown over my mismatched Disney pyjamas, yes, I'm a fashion icon, and headed downstairs. None of my other family members were up yet, so the hallways were still dark. I opened the curtains to let some natural light in and was met with a very pleasant view. There was some snow outside. It was only light snow and definitely not enough to make snowmen, but it was exciting nonetheless. For breakfast, I usually have something that's quick to prepare. Here I'm having a bowl of Frosties and some orange juice, a classic Page breakfast. I'm sure you can all tell by now that I have a very sweet tooth. I've recently taken to eating breakfast in the lounge because it's slightly warmer than the breakfast room. It's a good spot to curl up in an armchair and eat in peace. After eating, I use the bathroom. I'm not the speediest at getting ready in the morning. I do like to take my time. A warm shower is just what I need to wake me up in the morning and help me function like a normal human being. Comfy clothes check. I do literally live in tracksuit bottoms these days. I blow dried my hair so I'd look presentable in my video calls that morning, but then promptly put it in a ponytail because it always explodes in a frizz and I just prefer it out of my face. Not gonna lie, I don't put a lot of effort into my appearance these days, just because I'm not even leaving the house. I make sure I look presentable for my video calls, put a scrunchie and some earrings in if I feel fancy, but I never bother with makeup. This is the family border terrier called Buster. I love him very much and obviously have to say good morning. As mentioned previously, it's cold at the moment, so I threw on a jumper. After a long commute across the hallway to the spare room, I finally made it to my desk. It usually requires a bit of a tidy on a Monday morning as I use my desk for other purposes over the weekend. As always, first thing I do is read and respond to any emails I'd received since I'd last logged off. Then I emailed my line manager to volunteer to help out with running and organising a week of internal company events. They'll be centred around self-development and well-being, and I think getting involved will really build my confidence in presenting and organising calls. Then I did a bit of a brain dump and wrote down all of the tasks I wanted to get done that day in my planner. These were just my immediate thoughts. The volume of work fluctuates from week to week and I'll usually be asked to do other stuff throughout the day. I opened up my first spreadsheet and promptly got very confused with what was going on. I didn't want to waste time, so I messaged my team leader and asked for help. I was working with quantities called loss ratios. These are given by the amount of claims made divided by the premium written. Sounds straightforward, right? Well, no. There's lots of different bases on which you can give claims and premium, and the numbers that I needed for this particular client were coming from lots of different files in lots of different locations. By this point, I was also receiving messages asking if I had time to help on my other project. I wasn't surprised, as the wider team is really busy at the moment and will snap up any resource they can get. I have to be careful to manage expectations and offer to help, but let them know that I won't get to the work until later. Here's me looking super confused. To be honest, the work I do involves a lot of problem solving, so I usually do have a confused phase, but I eventually have that light bulb moment. At 10:30, I had a client call, or so I thought at least. I checked my calendar and suddenly realised the meeting had been moved to half an hour later. But that wasn't an issue, I could just get back to the work I'd been doing previously. Going back to my loss ratio tables, I was trying to figure out why the loss ratios in my summary weren't matching up with those in our main data files. I was also trying to make my tables dynamic. I'd been asked to create a table for at least 10 different classes of business. To go through these one by one would be very time consuming, so I made use of Excel formulae. When it was approaching 11, I got myself in position again for my client meeting. This was only a quick call and part of an insurance industry-wide survey. A couple of my colleagues were leading the call and I'm being trained up to help them out more next year. In the meantime, all I need to do is listen, absorb information, and make small talk. At 11:30 I had a quiet moment and took the opportunity to grab myself a coffee. A decaf latte from the coffee machine plus a couple of homemade vanilla buns. While I drank my coffee, I mulled over my loss ratio tables some more. At this point in the morning, I'd managed to iron out most issues, but there were still a few aspects I was unsure about. I'm very new to this project team, and so I didn't have the backing knowledge of the classes of business to be able to understand and make sense of some of the features I was seeing in the figures. Luckily, my team leader didn't seem to mind me bombarding him with questions and offered to have a quick call with me. The call with the team leader was so helpful and made me feel a lot more confident that I'd set up the file correctly. Somehow I'd managed to navigate the gross numbers, the gross net numbers, the claims handling expenses, the reinstatement premiums to land at the correct numbers. I was happy that my work was ready to send off to another team member for review. Finally, I could switch to working on an SAO template for my other project. An SAO is a statement of actuarial opinion. The opinion being expressed is whether the client's reserves are adequate. That is, do we believe that they have set aside enough money to pay off all of their insurance claims? At 1:15, I changed into some jeans because I was going out for a walk. Buster loves his walks, and I usually really enjoy getting some fresh air, but on this particular day it was so cold. Even with a woolly hat and scarf, I was still shivering, and as you can probably tell, I don't deal well with being cold. I will complain about it a lot. When we got back from our walk, I threw a quick lunch together. I had brie on crackers, which is my new favourite food. Quick to prepare and tastes so good, albeit slightly fattening. After about an hour lunch break, I got back to my desk and it was back to all things SAOs. The SAO will be submitted to Lloyd's of London, which is an insurance market in London. Many different syndicates operate within the Lloyd's marketplace. Here I am hopping on a quick call with two of my senior teammates. I had a quick query for them about wordings, because with regulatory documents that end up being signed by someone, wordings are very, very important to get correct. In this case, I was asking how to refer to a particular set of insurance losses. In an SAO, you will typically mention any large losses which cause uncertainty in what the ultimate claims will be. After the call, I ploughed forward with the SAO work, which really is a mammoth task. My team have already used a range of statistical methods to estimate what the ultimate insurance claims of our client will be. Now it is just a case of feeding our numbers into the suitable reporting format. Usually, my senior team members will give me an idea of the approach they'd like to take and ask me to execute it. I'll do the first take on a file. Then I'll send it off to them for review. And they'll come back and say, right, we'd like these things changed please, and there's that backwards and forwards until everyone in the team is happy with the files. When it gets to late afternoon, it's not uncommon for me to do a little dance, sing to myself. Is this work sending me delirious? Maybe. At around 4:30, I was feeling really peckish, so I grabbed myself a snack. Can't go wrong with some Walker's salt and vinegar baked. Sometimes I will just sit there and stare at spreadsheets. It's not me being unproductive, it's just me taking my time to understand what is going on with the spreadsheet and why it might not be functioning exactly how I expected. At this point, I was quickly realising I was not going to get through my whole to-do list for the day. One file in particular was taking me a lot longer than anticipated. The datasets we have available this year differ to what they had last year, and so just rolling forward the file that was used last year was not sufficient. It was good practice for me though to set up new calculations from scratch and work out for myself which datasets were appropriate to use. By this point it was getting quite late, but I hadn't finished everything I wanted to get done today. My general policy is if I work really late one day, I will take it easier on later days in the week. Some of my colleagues have been really good at checking up on me recently and making sure I'm not working crazy hours. At this point, my computer decided to restart for an essential update. You know, one of those ones that you can't avoid, it just restarts without your permission. While I waited, I jotted down the outstanding tasks that needed to be done the next day. Once I'd logged back onto my computer, I got back to preparing some documents, statements of opinion for our senior actuary on the team to sign. I also received a message telling me that senior team members had decided to change a particular set of wording, and this change needed reflecting in all of the files, so I went through the files one by one and adjusted the wording. After this, I decided to call it a day. All in all, a fairly average Monday. It did drag a little bit because I had fewer calls than I normally would on a typical day, but I just got on with my tasks and, to be fair, got a good amount done. I went to chat with my sister after work and we talked about the book we'd both been reading. Then it was dinner time when we all eat as a family. My mum had pulled together a chicken korma and called us all down to eat. I completed my tidying up duties after dinner as usual. It's the reason I'm let off the hook with cooking. I was feeling tired, so I used the bathroom, brushed my teeth and got into my pyjamas quite early in the evening. Sometimes I'm more productive in the evenings and I might do some studying or do some editing, but on this day I just wanted to chill. I got into bed, got my Kindle out and started reading. I'm reading the Maze Runner series, which I can't believe I didn't discover as a teenager. They're young adult novels but have so much mystery in them that I'm just so addicted. I lay in bed reading for a solid couple of hours. Eventually it reached a point where I was really tired and ready to get some sleep before another working day. My phone alarm was all set for 7:30 AM. Thanks for watching, like, subscribe, follow my Instagram and I'll see you soon.